What's up, everybody? Fantasy Endgame. We're here again Monday night, which means one more game of football before the week is over. And we start moving on to week 6. We'll talk a little bit, break down the fantasy implications of Packers and Raiders. There are some big name players that are in, and one big name player who is out, and that is Aaron Jones. So people are already asking, Aaron Jones, a scratch? This is what's frustrating with these late games, late in the week, and you guys are questionable. Thought that he would play. I thought at least there was a good chance he would play, but he is not. So let's first talk. If you are in the position where you were waiting on Aaron Jones, had him in your lineup, and now, oh no, I'm not getting any points for Aaron Jones tonight. Like, what do you do?
I mean, there's not a lot you can do, obviously. You can't go pick up Josh Jacobs. I mean, look, if A.J. Dillon is still out there, that's probably your best bet. But assuming he's not, I mean, maybe Patrick Taylor. They did activate him. He could be the guy behind him. Because we actually, there was somebody in our Discord who's having this exact problem. He only needs 4.8 PPR points, but doesn't have Aaron Jones now, and there's nobody left. And it's like maybe Hunter Renfrow. I mean, if he can catch a few passes, maybe. Austin Hooper, Amir Abdullah has 2 catches. I mean, there's really not a lot of options, right? It's Monday night. It's a pretty crushing blow, honestly, to have him ruled out this late, because it did look like he was going to play. He practiced in a limited fashion. He played last week. There was no real indication that this was coming. Right. So, yeah, this is a pretty big blow if you have Aaron Jones and you were counting on him to help you, pull out the W tonight.
Yeah, especially if you just needed a few points. I mean, like A.J. Dillon obviously going to be the guy that starter. Even then, like, am I convinced he's going to give you 4.8 points? No, because A.J. Dillon's been just one of the worst running backs. There have been a couple of running backs who have just been bad this year. He's been one of the worst. 2.7 yards per carry. And he already had a week where Aaron Jones didn't play. And he was horrible that week. If you start him, then, you were hating life. And now it's like, why would it be any different? I know the Raiders aren't a tough defense, but it doesn't seem to matter. With A.J. Dillon, right. I don't understand how a guy who doesn't have that many carries and isn't that old looks like he's washed. Like he looks the same as Zeke, basically. Yeah. That's how inefficient he's been. But, I mean, I guess he's your best bet. I would definitely rather play a receiver than whoever they have at running back, whether it's Patrick Taylor or Emmanuel Wilson or whatever. I guess, I mean, Renfrow is not even a good bet. I mean, he's got how many? What do we say? Like 5 catches this year in 4 games, or something terrible. I honestly might roll out like Dontavian Wicks, who is like the number 4 receiver on Green Bay, but he's got a touchdown. He's got a few catches. Like, he could make a play down the field. He could get a touchdown. I think I would go with him, and maybe Renfrow is the second choice. I don't know. But Davante Adams and Jacoby Myers are like 90% of the target share in that offense. It's kind of silly how one-dimensional that offense is. So that's what it look. Last minute scratches on Monday night. I mean, there's not much you can do. It happens. So such is life. Injuries happen too. I mean, like, there's so many. This past weekend was one of the worst so far, I think, because we had the number 1 pick, Justin Jefferson, out. Now, his is not like season ending, so it's not like we can all, like, be in mourning or anything. But if Jefferson, it's a hamstring, he misses a game or 2, do you think that makes or Jordan Addison is going to be the guy who you have to play, and KJ Osborne is interesting, or does this just mean that the Vikings offense is just going to suck?
Well, I mean, it's certainly going to be a big blow to the Vikings offense. You can't replace Justin Jefferson. I mean, but it's also got to be a boost to these guys, because they're not just going to be like, well, we don't have Justin Jefferson, let's just run the ball now. Like, no, they can't run the ball either. So the targets are going to have to go somewhere, and it's probably going to go to these 2 guys. And of course, TJ Hawkinson, of course, too. But I think who it really hurts the most is Kirk Cousins as a fantasy QB, because he doesn't have that guy, Justin Jefferson, that can just bail him out. And as much as I like Jordan Addison's only played 5 NFL games. He's still developing as a wide receiver. He's not one of these guys who's just getting open all over the field, like just torching defenses. And KJ Osborne's never been that guy. So, yeah, it probably hurts Kirk Cousins the most. But certainly, I mean, look, KJ Osborne was a guy you weren't even starting. Now you can consider starting him. And, Jordan Addison was definitely a guy, you were starting in good matchups like he had this past week. Now you might have to consider him even in slightly tougher matchups, depending on how long Jefferson is out. But I don't think it's going to suddenly make these guys like, top 15 fantasy wide receivers or anything.
No, it would be a big mistake to think, oh, Jordan Addison all of a sudden is going to be a no doubt must start, like top 10 receiver. No, he's not ready yet. Maybe eventually one day he will be, but he's not there yet. The one thing that makes me say I think you have to start him this week if Jefferson is out is because they get the Bears, right? And I know the Bears look really good suddenly the past 2 weeks, but that's mainly on offense. Look, their defense did still give up a ton of passing yards to Sam Howell last week. Now, I know that was all come from behind garbage time. Washington did nothing but throw, but still, the Bears allowed them to do that. So yeah. I'm just saying that it's the Bears. I still feel good. Like Addison is a must start. Cousins is still startable without Jefferson because it's the Bears. And I do think it makes Madison a little bit better because they're probably gonna have to run the ball a little bit more, jump it off a little bit more. So I think it kind of helps him a little bit, just a little bit. The other big injury, which we don't know anything about, it's still early, is the Achane. Devon Achane. All right. Now, we're not going to guess and speculate because at first people were saying, and by people, I mean the Twitter doctors, it's like a high ankle sprain. Now we're saying it's a knee. Mike McDaniel didn't really say anything except that they're looking. MRI is coming. Okay, so what happens if Achane, who was on pace to just destroy fantasy and all these records, is out for multiple weeks? Is Raheem Mostert a must start? And then do we now all of a sudden have to pick up Jeff Wilson?
Well, I think you have to. I'll start with the Jeff Wilson thing. I think you have to at least strongly consider picking him up because they'll probably now will activate him. But remember, they also have not been playing Salvin Ahmed, who is healthy because they felt good about Achane, of course, and Mostert. So I don't think the path for Jeff Wilson is completely clear. I'm not just ready to say oh, Jeff Wilson RB2 now because they could have activated him, and they could have activated him, and they're like, nah, we're good with what we have. I mean, now they probably will because if he misses time. As far as Mostert, I'm gonna treat Mostert like I did early in the season, where it's I'm not gonna put it. I'm not gonna say he's like a top 5 or top 10 weekly running back or anything, but he's probably a guy that you have to consider as a set and forget RB2 if Achane is out, because in this this offense it's just fantasy goodness, right? It's just all over the place. So you want to get him in there. As far as Achane, if he misses a few weeks, I think the worry, and I saw Dr. Chow talking about this. It's knee and ankle kind of go together. So they're looking at the knee, but he still thinks by video, it looks like the classic high ankle sprain, hip drop tackle, where the guys grab them and they drop down their hip on their leg. It looks like the classic thing. The worry with the high ankle sprain, which we've already seen with Saquon Barkley and Austin Eckler, is, of course, multiple weeks absence, but also, especially for a guy like Achane. Achane is not a guy he's not a power back. He can't come in and break, and run through, you know what I mean? He relies on speed and explosiveness. If that's affected because the ankle, is good enough to play, but not 100%, we may not see the same Achane, at least not right away. He should be fine by the time the fantasy playoffs roll around. So don't do anything crazy. I wouldn't be trade him, get ready to trade him. But certainly, it does. It's concerning, right? But we don't know. Maybe that comes back, everything's fine. And you never know with these things. But it's certainly something you have to be concerned about.
Oh yeah, and it's okay to be sad and maybe shed a few tears if you had HN and then he goes on IR or misses 2-3 games, hypothetically. But it's not the end of the world, right?
Right.
It's not until we see like, oh, the season's over. Okay, then you can rage and full out cry. But don't panic. People, and we still actually don't know as far as like Amon-Ra St. Brown. People are like, oh, should I trade him away, get rid of him now? Like, no, don't, because he's not out for this season. He's not somebody who is not going to come back and help you in the fantasy playoffs, guys. What matters most isn't week 6, 7, 8, and 9. It's weeks 14 and on. That's what matters. So I know it's hard, but sometimes we gotta be a little bit patient. So and then the other kind of, I guess there were several that matter, but the one that I'd say was the most significant for fantasy, Anthony Richardson. We know he's going to be out a month, maybe more. So I guess the question here, if you had him, do you just drop him because out and then the risk, or do you stash him, keep him on IR if you have an IR spot? Hopefully you have an IR spot in your fantasy league because you think that he can come back and help during the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm stashing him. It's been so. I mean, look, it's injuries. You can't do anything about it. But this guy, like, week 2, gets that, the concussion, comes back, dominates, and now the shoulder. It's just been like just such bad luck for him this year. Just primed to just dominate this fantasy season, and it's just been unlucky. But like, I'm not dropping him because even if it's IR, let's say, like you said, okay, 6, 7, 8, 9. When is the Colts bye week? I think is it week 10?
That I do not know. Let me see.
Thought I saw that, but regardless, I mean, like you said, like, let's say he's back. Okay, it's week 11. Let's say he's back. Worst case, week 12. You should be able to get by. It's one thing to lose a guy like Justin Jefferson, who you can't replace. A guy like Devon Achane, who you probably can't replace. You should at least kind of be able to replace Anthony Richardson. You should be able to stream and get by most weeks. I mean, yeah, sometimes, look, streaming doesn't always work. There's going to be weeks where you stream and the guy just bombs. It's the way it is. But most weeks you should be able to stream and still get by until week 12 and still be in it. And that still gives you, assuming you're still in the playoff race, which you should be, that gives you Anthony Richardson for the most important part of the season, right? The stretch run to the playoffs and then the fantasy playoffs. So I'm definitely not dropping Anthony Richardson. I mean, it's not something that doesn't, like, it's an AC joint sprain. So look, Derek Carr played through it. Now he had a minor AC joint sprain, but he's playing through that right now. So it's not like, he'll be back. And look, you weren't starting Anthony Richardson because you wanted him to throw for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns. You were starting Anthony Richardson for the running anyways. And his legs are fine. So I'm holding him for sure.
Yeah, if you have an IR spot, that's what it's made for. I mean, this is the kind of guy. And like you said, you're gonna probably have to wait till week 12 because 4 weeks, and then they got the bye. They're not going to rush him back. You know this. So if he comes back week 12, but if you look during the fantasy playoffs, or actually right before the Colts schedule, they get Tennessee, which we know against the pass, against quarterbacks, not too good. At Cincinnati, then they get Pittsburgh, which, despite what you saw, yesterday, really haven't been great on defense. Atlanta, and then they get the Raiders. So the schedule is nothing to be scared of. That might actually be really good to have him during the playoff time.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to get to, if you have any last-minute questions for Start Sit on Monday night, or if you're ready for week 6, let's get it. Let's go and do our early Start Sit questions. You have trade questions, or you want to know, how can I make my team better? We're already talking about this. This is what we try to do while we're here every day, because you could probably figure out your waiver wire pickups in a question or two, or, maybe pull some trades on your own. But talking about this, buying low on Anthony Richardson, stashing him for the playoffs, and rolling him out there. That's an end game move. That's the kind of thing that people are just like, the guy's hurt. Forget it. Drop him. You pick him up. You stash him. You do, make a buy low offer. Typically, we don't advocate trading for quarterbacks, but still, this is what we're here for, that advanced strategy that's going to help you in the end and on the playoffs to get that championship. So not just thinking short term, always thinking long term. Before we get to your questions, and we have some questions that have been up for a little while, I do have to remind you that if you're watching the game tonight, the best way to do it is on Underdog. Well, you can't watch the game on Underdog, but have your Underdog app open and you make picks before and during the game, because they have those live in-game, constantly updated picks. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, maybe you've never tried Underdog or you've just been waiting. I don't know what you're waiting for, because this is the perfect time to sign up for Underdog. They have extended the $500 deposit match up 100%. That's right. Every dollar you put in when you make your initial deposit as a new customer on Underdog, again, make sure you use promo code ENDGAME when you sign up. That gets you that deal. But if you sign up for an Underdog and you use our promo code, they will match every dollar you put up to $500. And if you do it right now, you get to take advantage of the new customer special, the pick'em of Jordan Love. He just needs 1 yard tonight. So you can take advantage of that right now in the next hour and a half until the game starts. Combine that with any other pick. And of course, they have all these picks for tonight's game. They also are going to have some early picks for next week. That's right. Got some picks for next week that will already be up. And then baseball, the playoffs are going on. You want to get on that? Make some picks for baseball, WNBA, every sport you can think of, they got picks. You can even pick, kickers. Kickers are people too. This just proves it. You can even take the pick on some kickers. Quick, without looking, so I know you just scrolled on it. Who's the kicker for the Green Bay Packers?
I have no idea. Mason Crosby.
You were close, but that was a year ago. And that was for the past 20 years. He was a kicker.
That's
the other Carlson, Daniel Carson's brother.
Okay. All right. What happened to Mason Crosby? Does he kick anymore?
I'm pretty sure he retired.
Did he retire? Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
He was around forever. I guess once Aaron Rodgers was gone, he's like, yeah, I'm out. I don't know. Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I don't blame him. I don't blame him.
Yeah. Well, so there you go, guys. Underdog, again, use that new customer special. Sign up now. This is the perfect time to do it. All right, let's get to our loyal viewers here. Of course, we got some people already in the house. Rise is in here. Yep. Aaron Jones is out. We know that. So if you didn't hear that early on, guys, you had Aaron Jones in your lineup, you might want to pivot. Get anybody else in there. AJ Dillon, I guess. Hunter Renfrow, if you really have to. Dontavian Wicks, if you really, really are desperate. Big Luscious. All right. My coworker wants Christian Kirk. I need an RB. Would you sell Kirk and Eli Mitchell for Ramondre and Hollywood?
Well, I'm not sure if Ramondre's a buy low either. Because the Patriots are just a mess. Just an absolute mess. But you're also getting Marquise Brown. And I don't even know if there's that big of a difference between Marquise Brown and Christian Kirk.
Right. You're not really losing anything.
There's obviously a big difference between Ramondre Stevenson. The big difference is Ramondre Stevenson is the lead back and Elijah Mitchell isn't even healthy again. So I'm okay with this because I don't feel like I feel like the wide receiver trade is pretty fair. Like, I don't feel like it's a downgrade at all for you. And you're getting Ramondre. Look, worst case, okay, what's the path for Elijah Mitchell? He needs Christian McCaffrey to get hurt, and he also needs to be healthy when that happens. Right? The path for Ramondre is just somehow he gets better, and the offense gets better, and the offensive line gets better. So I'll gamble on that. Give me the Marquise Brown and the Ramondre side.
Yeah, like you said, at this point, Kirk and Brown, they're kind of interchangeable almost. I mean, maybe I slightly prefer Kirk, but it's not a big difference, if at any. And then you're getting at least a starting running back, like you said. Mitchell is that guy never stays healthy. He's never healthy. So you're basically taking a chance, right? Taking a swing on Ramondre for nothing. Let's just say you're basically getting a free. Why not? I mean, why not? Buy very low, yes, very, very low. You can get him for nothing, as you should. We'll see. I got to look into that more. I don't know what it is. New England, is their offensive line issue? Though, from what I saw, supposedly their run grade efficiency is not that much worse than last year. Maybe it's just everything there.
Well, the O line is beat up. I mean, Mac Jones is. It's hard. It's hard to do anything offensively when you're turning the ball over continually. And then I don't know if you saw yesterday, there was that play they ran. It was like, I think they were like lining up like they were going to do the whatever they call it, the tush push or whatever they're calling it these days. And instead, they faked it, and then they were going to pitch it to Ramondre, and Ramondre was going to probably house it for like a huge touchdown. Because the Saints, who were they playing this? No, they weren't playing the Saints. Whoever they were playing. Yeah. Saints, okay. The Saints, like, full on just sold out to stop the sneak, and Ramondre was just going to run, like, untouched. And Mac Jones couldn't even flip it to him right. Flipped it to him, like, way behind him for a turnover. Like, it's just brutal. It's just brutal in New England. It's just brutal. And like, it's not like, well, maybe they'll go to Bailey Zappi. No, it's even worse somehow. It's even worse. So.
Is it?
Yeah.
I wouldn't mind giving Bailey Zappi a shot. I remember he had a start last year, and he looked good. And then the next start he didn't, but it can't be worse. And then I saw this one thing. I guess it could always be worse. I saw this one thing where somebody close to Mac Jones was like, even the best chef can't make garbage taste good. Talking about the wide receivers, like, okay, wow, you're really gonna say, first of all, you're basically implying that Mac Jones is like a master chef. Okay, so there's problem one. And then you're really going to blame the wide receivers. Look at the wide receivers Pat Mahomes has to work with. Like, Rashee Rice was not a first-round pick. Like, yeah, he was a second-round pick, but still, this isn't a guy who's like an elite, whatever. Tyquan Thornton was a second-round pick, wasn't he? Anyways. I would like to continue piling on and talking about all the ways in which the New England Patriots are bad, but we should get to other questions.
Yeah.
The king of you always wants to be one of the first, not the first. Okay. Well, this is interesting. So tonight, if you got to go Christian Watson or Jacoby Myers, who do you go?
I like them both. Watson certainly has way more upside tonight because he's going against the Raiders, not the Packers. I mean, this would come down for me. It would come down to matchup. This is would 100% come down to matchup. Like, where are you at in your matchup?
Right.
Are you losing by just a little bit of points? Then I might go Myers because I feel better that Myers will get me something tonight. Are you way behind? Then I go Watson. Like, is the matchup really close and he has Josh Jacobs? Then I go Watson. You know what I mean? Like, this really comes down to where you're at in your matchup. So that's the best I can do for you. Like, Watson can always do nothing, right? He can always go out there, only get like 2 catches, not have a big game, but he can always have a monster game. Jacoby Myers is your safer option. So it comes down to where you at in your matchup.
Yeah, I'm tempted to just say Watson, especially now that Aaron Jones is out. But like you said, Watson, maybe a lot riskier. Yeah. I mean, if you're losing, if you're feeling bad, if that little slider on Sleeper or wherever is like got the percentage and you're like down here in the red, okay, you go Watson. You definitely want to go Watson. Myers, if you're ahead and you just want a few points and you're not going to risk it, then you can go Myers. Myers, I feel, is fairly safe, right? I mean, he's getting so many targets.
Yeah.
All right, now you're trying to confuse us here. Bobby Brook always gives us super chats from England, but he dropped a super chat. Apparently, is his alter ego, which is Alex Watts.
Okay.
I don't know why.
All right.
I'm not sure how you're even on with 2 accounts at once. I'm not going to ask. But anyway, so the chance of 32 from Lovin Watson.
I would say greater than 50%. I mean, if you can get 20 from Love, which doesn't seem out of the question against the Raiders. You only need 12 from Watson. That definitely seems within reason. I mean, I'm not going to say it's like 80 or 90%, but I would say somewhere north of 50%.
Yeah, given the matchup, I feel pretty good. I feel good about Watson. Again, without Aaron Jones, feel better actually about Love. They're going to throw the ball more. I think I would feel fairly good. If you want me to slap a percentage on it, I'm not going to guarantee anything here. I go maybe 65. So, I mean, you never know what could happen. But the Raiders defense, obviously, nothing to be scared about here. And then Pedro became a member. All right, Pedro, thank you. Are always here with us. Just like Big Luscious, with a good question. We just talked about this at the very beginning. Now, the news, let's just clarify here. The Jefferson news. The news is we don't really have news yet. We just know that he might miss a game, maybe a couple of games, because it seems like a mild hamstring from what we know. But we don't have anything official, right?
Right. Nothing official, so we don't know.
Okay. So should I trade away Addison for Rashawn Johnson and Tank Dell?
I mean, even with Jefferson, I prefer Addison over these guys.
Yeah.
Like Tank Dell in the concussion protocol, he may not even play this week. So
exactly.
there goes one of your no Jefferson weeks. And then Rashawn Johnson also in the concussion protocol. Now, granted, he does have, he may clear because they did play on Thursday. We don't know, but yeah, I would want Addison over both these guys, even with Jefferson. But now without Jefferson, I definitely want him over these guys.
Yeah, I wouldn't do this. I mean, actually, Rashawn Johnson also in concussion protocol. But both those guys, you're trading for two guys that might miss this week due to concussion. But no, this is not the right time. Look, if you're going to trade away Addison because everyone's like, oh, Addison's number one there now. Okay, fine. But that's not a sell high. That's a sell mid.
Right.
Our Wolfman, this one is very interesting. I want Jettis, of course, don't we all? The guy who has been struggling wants to sell. Aha, this is where you take advantage. The current price is DJ, Dobbs, and Mixon. Is that too much? Oh, and he got his lineup. Okay, let's see the lineup just to see if this matters. Hill, Cup, DJ, Dobbs, Palmer. So he would actually have, can you believe this? He would have Jefferson, Hill, and Cup as his top three receivers. You might actually have the number 1, 2, and 3 fantasy players on your lineup. But then if he trades Mixon, he would have Monty, Brees. Oh, I would be fine with those two guys.
Yeah, I'm doing this. I mean, are we – look, we hyped up DJ Moore this offseason. DJ Moore has been good. But DJ Moore is not going to do what he did in week 5 probably ever again.
Right.
Maybe his whole career, to be honest. Like, this would be real. Maybe his whole career. But at least not this year. JJ is still a massive upgrade over DJ Moore. Mixon, I can fine get like Mixon. What are people still hanging on to Mixon for? The dude looks terrible. They kept giving him the ball at the 1, and he wasn't even going forward. They give him the ball, you go backwards every time. I'm like, stop handing the ball off to this guy. He's just killing you. He's killing you. I like Dobbs, but give me Jefferson. Montgomery and Brees should be fine. Yeah, give me that wide receiver trifecta, just destroying my league. Yeah, give me Jefferson here.
Yeah, look, we don't even know if Jefferson's missing time yet. Good chance he misses a week, maybe 2. So what? The guy who's struggling is the guy you're trading with, not you. You already have Hill. You already have Cup. Yeah, you're going to just crush through the playoffs if you have those 3 receivers. I don't think it matters if you have to mix and match at running back. And you have Brees, who's looking great all of a sudden. Monty is going to be a starter every week. You're fine. I would do this too. Emilio, what's up? It's trailing 206 to 222. Opponent has Dobbs. I have Devontae.
I mean, you certainly have a chance. You're down 16. Yeah. Devontae can go for 30 on any given week. You have a chance, but I mean, if I had to put money down, would probably have to go with the Dobbs side because he's already got a 16-point head start, but I wouldn't be feeling great about it. I'd be sweating.
Yeah, your deficit is enough that I definitely wouldn't feel great. I think you could feel okay, but not great. Hey, maybe going against his old team, maybe he's fired up and he puts on a show. You definitely have a chance.
Yep.
You're 4-0 though, so you definitely don't need a sweat. This one, Jazz wants to know, when can we put Jones on IR on ESPN?
I mean, you should be able to now because they I think they just this is one of the annoying things, but they wait till they release the inactives. They just released the inactives pretty recently, so you should be able to now. But yeah, I don't know. Every site's different, but
honestly don't know because I don't play on ESPN.
Yeah,
and Chris doesn't either. We almost well, I think I technically do have all my leagues on Sleeper, maybe one or two, but yeah. So honestly, not sure, Jazz. Just keep checking, I guess. And then Ice Cold Jones. This is interesting. Would you trade Mostert for Ridley?
Yeah, I would. I think, like, again, we haven't heard anything that Achane's injury is season ending.
Yeah,
it doesn't sound like it will be. He'll be back at some point. Just give me. I'm taking Ridley here. I'm just doing it. I'm taking Ridley.
Yeah, I'll take Ridley, even if Achane's out. I mean, Mostert is going to be a good, every week solid RB2, but I'll still take Ridley. His huge potential every week. And if you guys missed it, we already talked about this. We had this question, so we've had several. I know these were from before we even got online. Spark 69 Mike V. Watson or Myers. If you're playing ahead or you just need a few safe points, you can go Myers. If you're playing from behind or you just want that big game potential, go Watson.
Yep.
Oh, that's an interesting one, but I don't think we have time. Let's stick to the super chats first. But first, Kevin is back in the house. I have Aaron Jones in 2 leagues, Dylan in 1 league. Okay, so you can always swap him out in my other league. All right, so who are you feeling, Patrick Taylor or Emmanuel Wilson?
Neither, but I mean, I guess Patrick Taylor. But here's the interesting thing. Like, when you look at week 2, when Aaron Jones was out, Taylor played more snaps, but Wilson got more touches. But neither got enough touches to make it. It's not like Wilson got 10 touches or something. Like, neither got enough touches to make you feel good. But I feel like Taylor could at least catch a pass or two. If I have to pick between these guys, I'm going Taylor.
Taylor's the one who I think is more experienced. But Wilson, if I remember, he was like one of the preseason rushing leaders. He was really good this offseason. Of course, you know what that means. Nothing. Taylor's the guy who was on the practice squad, so he hasn't been up with the team. So I don't know. You know who's another option who I just thought about because I looked it up is on the Raiders. They have Amir Abdullah. Amir Abdullah could potentially catch a couple of passes and get you, 3 points.
Yeah.
Just saying, that's an option. Yeah. If it fits me, I'd probably go Wilson because he's the one who's been with the squad most recently. But this is really like flip a coin. Like, honestly, just take a coin and flip it.
It's like, who knows? It's. I mean, I shouldn't laugh. It's a terrible. Like, it's just really brutal that this happened right before the game and there's no other games. But yeah, this is like, just pick one and hope you're right. But yeah, I kind of like Amir Abdullah because he has caught 2 passes each of the last 2 games, and they probably will be playing from behind. So
yeah, that might be the better choice there. And then John Kelly with Jones out. Would you start Reed or Dylan?
Just give me Jaden Reed here. Like, at least he has a chance to score, catch some passes. AJ Dillon, nah. AJ Dillon and Joshua Kelly, like, man.
Same guy.
Yeah. Handcuffs that you don't even want. Clear handcuffs that you don't even want.
When opportunity means nothing.
Exactly.
So speaking of, actually, let's do this one first. Alaska Moose Dog. Thank you. Now have 3 quarterbacks.
Why?
Which one should I keep? Not Dobbs. It's got to
You're
be
keeping.
Fields. I mean,
You got to keep Fields now. He's got a great stretch of games coming up. He looks good again. Look, they got rid of the cancer that is Chase Claypool. Look, the Dolphins were lucky. Chase Claypool was not active on Sunday. We'll see next week when he's active.
even Chase Claypool can't stop them from being the Giants. I'm pretty sure of that.
Yeah, but look, I mean, if HM misses the season, we're blaming Chase Claypool. He's taking the blame.
This is true. This is true.
But yeah, you're keeping Fields. You got to keep Fields.
Yeah, you can easily drop Dobbs, and then Love is fine. But look at Fields, what he's done. You have to keep Fields. You have to keep Fields. Now he's actually shown a pulse. Humberto Juarez. Okay, now Stevenson. It's a very, very buy low, right? You can get him for nothing. But if you have him, do you give him the Claypool treatment and just purge him from your team, or is that a mistake?
I think that's a mistake. Because like I'm not gonna trade him and get who are you gonna get for Ramondre Stevenson right now? Like what's a realistic wide receiver you're gonna get? Like Jonathan Mingo? I don't know. DJ Chark? Like I don't even know. Like what is somebody gonna give you for Ramondre Stevenson right now? Like they're gonna be like, no, get out of here, right? Like so you might as well just hold on and hope it gets better. I mean, look, if you could actually trade him and get something decent in return, yeah, do it. But I don't think you can. In most leagues, you're not going to be able to.
Yeah, there's no purpose trying to trade him because, like you said, his value is non-existent.
Yeah.
So no, I just hold and hope he comes around. There's not much else you can do. Let's see, Joe. Would you drop Gus the Bus to pick up either McLaughlin, Spears, or DeMarcado if James Conner misses?
I'm getting Spears. I mean, look, McLaughlin and DeMarcado probably help you more right now. But Spears is the one that could be an absolute game changer for you. I mean, maybe McLaughlin. It's close between those two guys, but man, I mean, Spears.
I think it's got to be Spears at this point.
Yeah, I think it's got to be Spears. He might not even need a Derrick Henry injury, to be honest. Like, he really might not. So he's out. He's outsnapped them in 3 of the 5 games this year. He's outscored him in 2 games. I mean, he might not even need a Derrick Henry injury. So give me Spears.
Yeah, it's close between the two. Now, again, keep in mind McLaughlin because Javonte didn't wind up playing last week. If Javonte does come back, he will get touches. I think that probably hurts Pirine more than McLaughlin, but still. I think right now I go Spears and then just behind him McLaughlin. And yes, you can drop Gus the Bus because doesn't have quite the upside. He is not a pass catcher. He had a good matchup. Didn't pan out because Justice Hill, for some reason, got a carry at the 5-yard line. That's just what happens. Surly and Dogwood is up. The Pickens pick came through. Glad to hear it. Cup, no, nobody matched Zach Moss yesterday, did they? Still up with Adams left. Does he score 30?
He could.
Probably not. Can. He could.
He certainly can.
He could. Okay, Mia Solis, are y'all starting Devontae? Absolutely, no matter what. And that's why we were saying keep him in your lineup. Like Aaron Jones, we thought was going to play. He didn't play. Like, okay, that's tough. But swap him out for somebody else. Devontae Adams, there is no replacement for Devontae Adams. So
no.
Yeah, definitely playing Devontae. Christopher E. Going forward, is McLaughlin a hold? Or, well, look, there you go. Would you drop him to get Spears?
Yeah, but see, I don't really want to drop McLaughlin to the waiver wire. Like if I'm choosing between him and Spears, I want Spears. But if I already have McLaughlin, I don't just want to hand somebody McLaughlin for free. Because I really think, look, I know Javonte has been Peyton's guy this year, but Javonte has also been really bad. Like, he's been really bad. I mean, and look, I like Javonte, but he's coming off a serious knee injury, multi-ligament ACL tear, and he looks really bad. And McLaughlin, even when Javonte was getting most of the touches, McLaughlin was making plays, right? Once a week, he would make some, like, score a touchdown or break off a long run. Peyton's going to have to give him more touches. He just has to. Like, if Peyton is serious about winning, he's going to have to give him more touches. So I feel like McLaughlin's going to have a role even with a healthy Javonte, or, well, a Javonte who's in the lineup, I should say. I don't think we're going to see a healthy Javonte this year.
Yeah,
but
an active Javonte.
Yeah, an active Javonte. So I don't really just want to drop him and let somebody else in my league grab him. Is there anybody else you could drop for Spears, is what I would ask.
Right. Ideally, you can have both these guys. Of course, that's not always possible. Don't drop somebody, who's a starter for him. But how long? It could be rest of the season. I mean, it really could be.
Yeah.
So, yeah, hold if possible. Ideally, you can pick up Spears too if possible. So it all depends on the roster makeup. Okay, Jordan Dumas needs some help. Need a 15-point comeback from a defense. Which side are you going?
It's got to be Green Bay. I mean, Raiders defense, they're terrible. Maybe they get a lucky pick six, but that's all you're hoping for with the Raiders. Green Bay should be fine tonight. I don't know if they have 15-point upside against Jimmy G and the Raiders, but they've got more upside than Las Vegas does. That's for sure.
Yeah, if I'm picking between those two, it has to be the Packers. Jair Alexander is playing, or he's not? He is, right?
He's playing. Yes, he's playing.
So that helps. You got to think the Packers will be fired up to avenge last week's kind of humiliation at home. So I'm going to go the Packers. Also, Jimmy G, always good to take some sacks. The Raiders offensive line, always good to give up some sacks.
Yeah.
So, it's definitely going to be the Green Bay defense for me. Isaac, what is going on?
What's up,
in
Isaac?
The house? He needs Jordan Love to get 22.
He could. He certainly could. It's within his range, no doubt.
It is doable. Monday Night Miracles do happen. Approx one stock pot. Going with Patrick Taylor, up 13 going against Davante Adams. You do have a chance. You have a chance. Not a great chance. But you have a chance. Because you never know. Dan Henry, all right, go for it. Post the dubs. There's nothing wrong with that. Started Brees, Etienne, and Chase.
Nice.
In a non-PPR league, he's double his opponent. Nice. There you go. And this is what we always talk about, the upside players. When you're like, George Pickens hasn't done much, but he can do what he did on that last play. There's not a lot of players that can do that. Breece Hall can make a run like he made, against Denver defense. There's not a lot of players who can do that. So that's what we say, go with a guy like Christian Watson. But it's Watson versus Davante Adams.
I'm starting Adams. If Adams plays, he's in my lineup. No questions asked. I like Watson tonight, but man, no, it's Adams.
You can never, ever, ever bench Davante Adams. So no. Adams is playing. You start Davante Adams. Yes. Yeah. You take what he gives you. Fantasy football is pain. Needs Jordan Love to outscore Watson by 7. I mean, that is definitely doable if other guys catch touchdowns and Watson doesn't.
It's definitely doable. I mean, it's going to be close, but it's definitely doable.
I feel probably better about that one than the previous one. But now, speaking of pain, I know we didn't all foresee this week as the George Kittle breakout week, but I guarantee you we never said you should be dropping George Kittle. Don, you can't drop a guy like that. You can't drop a guy like that.
Yeah.
So what do? Now you got to use all your fab to get him back or what?
Well, here's the problem. Next week, George Kittle's going to do nothing again. So it's like
probably.
I mean, no, for real, he's going to do nothing. Like his expected fantasy points yesterday was like 7. Like he didn't suddenly get like, you know what I mean? Like it was just one of those, like this is what George Kittle does, right? This is what George Kittle. I'm not saying like, you should have dropped George Kittle. This is what George Kittle does, right? He has this random game where he scores 2 or 3 touchdowns. And then everybody's like, George Kittle, you got to start him every week. And then he goes back to like doing nothing. But that's also why you can't really bench George Kittle, even though you want to, even though you're like, oh, I want to bench George Kittle, because you never know he's going to do that. So,
yep.
I mean, try to pick him back up, but yeah, now that he had that game, he's probably going to get claimed now.
And I'm curious who you're rolling out a tight end instead of him. That's what I'm curious. But yeah, that's why even when, and maybe you'll remember, we had a question. I mean, we had a lot of questions, but I remember there was one question somebody asked. It was George Kittle, some tight end, some other tight end, and the other tight ends were like, no, why? Just start George Kittle. So I don't remember who they were. They're like guys that, are you really sure you want to start? Like maybe it was like Luke Musgrave or somebody else. I don't know.
Yeah, I remember that one because I did reluctantly say George Kittle, and look, I did start. Like I only have George Kittle in one league, and I did start him. And like there was guys on the waiver wire like Zach Ertz and that, but I was like, just gonna roll with George Kittle.
There you go.
I got lucky. I'm not gonna sit here and say like I got lucky. It's 100% luck. Like I'm not gonna sit here like when George Kittle goes off, it's just complete luck. You just go, oh, thank goodness he went off this week. Got lucky.
Exactly.
Like there was nothing about that game that screamed big George Kittle game.
Yeah, well, I feel like there's a theme like every week, something like a certain, besides injuries. This week was just a big injury week, but this week was like the get right game for tight ends.
Oh
it
yeah,
was the George Kittle game. It was the Dallas Goedert game. First time all year, both those guys had a big game, and then even Darren Waller and Kyle Pitts had good games. So all the crappy tight ends that have done nothing, they all had a good game all at the same time.
And they're probably all gonna do nothing again this week.
Go figure. Chocolate Rain, 1 PPR RB2 to replace Khalil Herbert. So here's that same group.
Yeah, give me Spears. Spears number 1, McLaughlin number 2. Unless you really believe, but even if you told me today, like Jaylen Warren is going to be the lead back here, like, do I really still want Jaylen Warren? Plus he's on bye. Like, yeah, give me Spears 1, McLaughlin 2.
Yeah, and again, those guys are going to be close. Like, if we knew Javonte was going to be out in extended period of time, I would say McLaughlin, but that's not the case. At least we don't think so. So really close between those two. Lean Spears, and then Nick Salerno. All right, looking ahead, you got to sit one between Walker, Kyron, Swift, or Achane. Okay, that decision might be made for you, but let's assume Achane plays. If Achane plays, obviously you play him.
Yeah, if Achane plays, the one I'm sitting is Kyron. I mean, I know nobody wants to hear it. And look, I have Kyron. I got him off waiver wire. But it's true. He gives you nothing outside of touchdowns. He's had 2 games this year without a touchdown. He's gotten you nothing in those games. Nothing. And the Rams are a team, they're pass heavy. Yeah, it's cool to say like, hey, Kyron Williams plays all the snaps and gets all the touches. But in most games, like yesterday, it's 13 touches or 14 touches. Like, you know what I mean? It's not 25 touches because they're throwing the ball so much, especially now with Cooper Kupp back. They're going to even throw even more now. So assuming Achane plays, Kyron's the one I'm sitting. Obviously, if Achane's out, then you have no choice.
Yeah, I mean, let's see. This decision might be easy, but if Achane plays, no doubt. I mean, Swift, I'm really starting no matter what, anyways. But I'm definitely liking him this week. And then I'm still going Walker. It's Kyron, and not that you need to, but if you need an upgrade at receiver, this might be the time to trade Kyron. But of course, if Achane is hurt, then maybe don't. And then we got JR Most Wanted, traded DJ Moore for AR, who is now on IR, and Aaron Jones. I mean,
man, yeah,
pain that you couldn't have seen coming.
Yeah, I'll always remember the time I traded you in one of our end game leagues. I got Calvin Ridley, and he never played again that year.
Hey, wasn't it? It was you. Like, we just made a trade last week, and you didn't give me. I asked for it. I got T. Higgins. Remember that?
Yeah. So what's fun? Okay. So what's funny about that is, first, so I had Garrett Wilson in that league. Somebody offered me T. Higgins for Garrett Wilson, and I was like, after week 1, I was like, yes, please give me T. Higgins. And then I got the big T. Higgins game. And then you offered me Who was it?
I don't remember what I traded. I don't remember why I traded for T. Higgins, but
But I want, but it ended up being good for. And I was like, oh, okay, I prefer this guy over T. Higgins a little bit. I'll take it. Like it wasn't like a crazy trade. I was like, I'll take it. So sometimes you're on the good end of it. Sometimes you're on the bad end of it. Sometimes you're on the good end of it.
I mean, he's coming back, somewhat soon. It's not like it was devastating, but yeah, I traded for him, and like 2 days later, he got hurt. Like, okay, so I haven't even been able to use T. Higgins, but that's okay. It happens. I mean, there's nothing you can do. Bad luck, it's part of it. Speaking of bad luck, Sir Boomer only needs 39 points from Devontae Adams. Well, I mean, I don't remember his roster, but is it time to panic
look,
if your whole roster sucks?
You have weeks like that. I mean, yeah, just move on. Move on to week 6.
All right, now you're really confusing us because you're back as Bobby Brook in the super chat.
Well, I don't
Dylan or
care. I
Watson?
don't care if you need. I don't care if you need save points, huge ceiling. It's Christian Watson all day, every day here. All day, every day.
There's not even half a second it takes to decide this. It's Watson, no matter what. And then, look, some people, Shannon, very optimistic, saying the AJ is going to go for exactly 18.6 tonight.
All right.
That's a very oddly specific number.
Yeah. Do you have the sports almanac?
Yeah, the Back to the Future deal, or
yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
That would be. It would be like just have AJ Dillon and then everybody runs out to Adam next week.
Yeah, and then Aaron Jones comes back, but look, we'll see. We stranger things have happened, that's for sure. Isaac needs 22 from Love. Is it possible? Yes. Also, which Colts receiver is the better pick? Now that's interesting. Minshew going to be the quarterback there for a little while. Pittman, of course, clearly number one, but Downs did have himself a good game. Now I did mention Downs as the waiver wire pickup in a streamer last week, but that was mainly because I know they play the Titans this week. They're not going to play the Titans every week. Do you think Downs is now gaining ground, or you think it was just a matchup thing?
Maybe a little of both, but I still prefer Pittman over Downs. But he kind of been gaining. I talked about him on the sneaky starts. It's like, hey, he's gaining. It's the Titans. But I still prefer Pittman if I have to choose.
Yeah, you got to go with the guy who's clearly the number one receiver in the offense. And, I don't think it was, Minshew was playing, so Downs got more targets. No, it was the Titans can't stop slot receivers. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
And the Titans are a very generous pass defense to wide receivers in general, which is why I think I picked Pittman as a boom too. I think I just figured that this is the time to go and play your Colts receivers. No, it's got to be Pittman between the two. But Downs is interesting. We just looked at the Colts matchups right now. I don't think they have any like crazy easy schedule, but down the stretch they do. So who knows? We already talked about the Patriots. I'll not talk about them again. Let's see. Yeah. All right. Let's go to the next super chat here. Sven Dragon. Welcome back. Have to drop Ford, Moss, Myers, or Garrett Wilson for a bye week quarterback pickup. My question is, who's your quarterback? Wait a minute.
Yeah.
But next week, there's only two teams on bye next week, and it's the Packers and the Steelers. I know you're not starting Kenny Pickett, so if it's Jordan Love,
drop Jordan Love,
right?
Yeah, just drop Jordan. Yeah, if it's for next week, those are the only two teams on bye. I mean, you can pretty easily drop Kenny Pickett, and I mean, assuming it's a 1 QB league and not a super flex, you could drop Jordan Love. Now, if it's super flex, I wouldn't drop Jordan Love.
No. Okay, but I guess hypothetically, if it's super flex or for some reason, like you have to drop one of these guys, who you dropping?
I mean, I guess we can't drop Zach Moss, even though it seemed like yesterday it seemed like you could. I still kind of want to say Zach Moss because, I mean, do we really think like they paid JT $42 million to be Zach Moss's handcuff. I mean, maybe, but probably had a lot to do with the fact that he hadn't played football in 9 months and only had 2 limited practices. And within a week or two here, we're going to see full JT and not a lot of Zach Moss anymore.
Right.
I mean, look, if Jacoby Myers does nothing tonight, then you could probably drop him and nobody will pick him up. But if it's a 1 QB league and you're looking at, Kenny Pickett or Jordan Love, just drop one of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, between Ford and Moss, I have to keep Ford. He's clearly the starter there and going to be the starter all season. Like that's not a question. Moss is really going to become a 1B, and then in a couple weeks he'll just be a handcuff.
Yeah,
probably. I don't want to drop Myers or Wilson, but I guess if you had to pick, if he doesn't go off tonight, then you could probably drop Myers. Another easy one here: Derek, Eliam, Watson, or Dobbs. Well,
kind of similar.
Easy.
I mean, in a vacuum, I want Watson. He's got tremendous upside tonight. But again, I'll say the same thing with Myers. If you're like, hey, I'm down 5. I just want 6 fantasy. I just want to know I get 6 points. Okay, play Dobbs. He will almost certainly get you 6 points. I mean, Watson almost certainly will too. But Watson has a risk that he might not. So, but in most cases, I'm going Watson.
Yeah, I think it's not like Watson has no floor, right? Like he'll have a game where he's just completely shut out. No, I just go Watson here. I said that kind of quickly as a response, but Dobbs has been getting a good amount of targets. I mean, look, I'm high on Dobbs, but I think I'm still going to go Watson. Juice 420 went with my gut, played Stafford over T-Log, got 1 more point. Very nice.
Nice.
Stafford didn't throw it quite as much as I thought he would, but he still threw it plenty. So that works sometimes. Sometimes the fantasy gods favor us. Eric Sanchez needs 27. Adams or Watson?
Still Adams. I mean, I don't care about Jair Alexander. I mean, he's a good corner, but he's not going to shut down Devontae Adams. I'm still going Adams. Look, Watson has the type of games in him that he could outscore Devontae Adams. But on most weeks, Adams is going to outscore Watson, so I'm just going to go Adams.
Yeah, I have to go Adams too. I mean, any given matchup, he could have a monster game. I mean, look what he's done so far. He's just getting so many targets, so much of the target share. And that's the one thing he's always going to have over Watson. So going to go Adams. Good luck, though. I'm pulling for you. Jason Priddle is 1-4. So would you trade CD, who's kind of been struggling, statistically at least, and Mixon for DJ and Pacheco?
Man.
I don't know if that
my
really
worry
improves
with trading CD right now is the Cowboys are about to embark on an incredible stretch of matchups. 5 of their next 6 games, because I was just looking at it for the trade video, but not for CD, for Tony Pollard. Chargers, Cardinals, Giants, Commanders, Seahawks, I think, are 5 of their next 6. Those are some get right matchups right there for the Cowboys. So I don't know. I think I'm sticking with CD and Mixon. Not that I like Mixon, but I just think I still prefer CD over DJ more. I mean, I probably prefer Pacheco over Mixon, but I don't think it's like a huge thing. Even though I do like Pacheco this week a lot. I think I'm just holding CD and Mixon.
Yeah, I don't think this honestly like improves your team that much.
Yeah.
I think Pacheco looks better, but in fantasy, is he really making that big a difference over Mixon? He's not, because he just doesn't get enough touches. So no, I think you're gonna have to do something. Honestly, yeah, I'd hold CD anyways. You don't want to buy high on DJ Moore and sell low on CD.
Yeah.
That's kind of what you're doing here. Yeah, I'd have to look at your whole roster to see. But anyways, okay, best DST moving forward: Tampa Bay or Atlanta?
I don't matchups. Play the matchups. So I wouldn't just roll with one defense every week. Tampa Bay this week. I was just looking at it. I should know this.
We get Detroit. That's not a great matchup.
Yeah, not a great matchup. Atlanta gets
the Commanders.
It's not bad. Between those two, I'd go Commanders this week. I mean, Atlanta this week.
I don't think either one of those is the defense I'm just going to roll with the rest of the season, to be honest. If those are the ones that you're picking from, you just right now go for the team, which I guess is Atlanta, that's better this week, and then take it from there. All right. Our old friend from Bear Camp, Cabin Rentals, is back in the house. Welcome
What's
back.
up?
Half PPR. All right. Got to pick two. Calvin Ridley, Garrett Wilson, Jacoby Myers, Nico Collins.
Really like Ridley this week. He's going against the Colts, and I don't know if you remember all the way back to week 1, but after he played the Colts, everybody was saying, you guys need to put him in the no doubt must start.
Yep.
Funny, because then 2 weeks later he was like a bust. But he's playing the Colts again, who have gotten destroyed by wide receiver ones, and he destroyed them in week 1. So you got to play Ridley this week.
Yeah.
And Garrett Wilson, what a letdown! It's just what is it like? Oh man,
And you can't play him next week. Gets the Eagles. I'm not going to play Garrett Wilson.
I mean, that was a spot. He just Zach Wilson. I probably still have to go Nico. I know he had a down game here, but I mean, look, everybody has down games. He's been great. I'm going to go Ridley and Nico.
Yep. Got to start Ridley. And then Nico, yeah, tough game. Play him anyways because Tank Dell might miss this week. He's in the protocol. He could be out. Robert Woods actually got banged up too. He had a rib thing. He left. He did come back. I don't know that he'll miss, but he's been kind of phased out a little bit in terms of targets here. I'm going to go Nico and Ridley. All right, and then we got to pick one between, well, Lawrence or Burrow. I think we definitely have our answer.
Got to be Burrow now, right? I mean,
it's definitely Burrow. And not just because of last week or yesterday. It's because, okay, so you said, I think this could be the Burrow breakout game. And I was like, no, I think it might be next week. I think it's going to be this week. He had his breakout game, like you said. I think next week he breaks out even more because he gets Seattle. So it's got to be Burrow.
Got to be Burrow.
And then a defense, Chiefs or the Saints. The Chiefs, I mean, very tempting because they play on Thursday against Denver.
Yeah, it got to be the Chiefs against the Broncos. I mean, Chiefs defense, low-key, quietly, one of the best defenses in the league this year. It's got to be the Chiefs.
Definitely the Chiefs here. And actually the Saints are a bad defensive matchup because they're going against the Texans and CJ Stroud, who doesn't throw interceptions. So you're not getting that much upside.
Yeah.
All right, let's go. Brian is in the house. Brian Forth. Can't pick. Oh, I know. He was already complaining about this in the Discord. It's daily waivers. I know, because he had Aaron Jones, right, locked into his lineup.
Yeah.
All right.
That happened to me in a dynasty league before.
What is this? Oh, okay. Yeah, the Calvin Ridley. Hey, guys, you can't always look at what happened last week. It's got to look forward. Thy Messenger. I don't remember Thy Messenger. Welcome. All right. All right. Now here comes the explanation. Okay, so it's your wife's account. You both play fantasy. All right, nice. So you both appreciate you guys. Should I drop Watson for Ritter?
Deshaun Watson?
Are you buying into Ritter?
I mean, Ritter is not the guy I want to start, even if Watson's out.
Although, I mean, I know you saw that something about Watson. You know, he was cleared, but he didn't play last week. He's like, "Nah, I'm not ready." And now they're saying like he's like, I don't know, we'll see. Like he doesn't want to play or something. I don't know what it is. I get replacing Watson, but I don't think Ritter's the answer.
No, Ritter is not the answer for me. I'm not just gonna like buy into some one random game where he was halfway decent.
Yeah. Now look, this week, I think I might go Ritter over Watson because Watson gets the 49ers defense. And that's assuming he even does play, like if he feels like it. And Ritter gets the Commanders. So I don't mind playing Ritter over Watson this week, but I don't want to roll with Ritter long term. So my question then would be, Bobby, who else is on the waiver wire as far as quarterbacks go? So I do get playing Ritter in week 6, regardless.
I mean, I'm with you on not wanting to play Watson, but I'm not with you on wanting to play Ritter. I still don't want to play Ritter. Like, I'm not like all of a sudden Ritter is like nah. There's got to be somebody better than Ritter.
Well, yeah, that's like I say. It depends who's better. Who else do you have available? If you're picking up Ritter on waivers, who else is on waivers? So we'll figure that out. Okay, and then Alec is a member. Thank you, appreciate you. Got the official knighting.
There we go.
Okay, let's see. I see the word crazy. Lush just wants to know if I get Ramondre, do I start Spears?
Ramondre is going to be so tough this week because it's the Raiders. But I mean, really, like, I remember when Najee played the Raiders, I was like, nope, still can't do it. Still can't do it. And he didn't do it. Like, are we really expecting Ramondre to do it just because it's the Raiders? Who do the Titans play? Titans play the Ravens. I mean, look, you can't feel good about Titans against the Ravens either. I might go Ramondre this week just because it's the Raiders and hope he, breaks a long run, catches some passes, falls into the end zone.
Yeah, I know. It's not crazy at all. It's sad that it's a tough call. But,
yeah, it is.
I will say this, and people post the stats without context. And the one of them that I saw today on Twitter was, his snap share. You got to be worried, Ramondre. His snap share has gone down. Well, his snap share was whatever, because this week they were down 34-0. So of course they're not going to run the ball because they couldn't run the ball. Why are they going to roll him out there when he wasn't 100% in practice all week? Yeah, there's a reason. It's because they're losing by more every week. So I don't think that's a Ramondre stat. Look, the issue in this offense is not Ramondre. It's everything else. But anyways, I think I'm still going Ramondre. But it is close. This is a fair question. All right, Matthew Rice. We love the dynasty questions. This one is very interesting. Just traded Brock Purdy for Travis Etienne and a very future first-round pick.
It's 2026 first doesn't do much for me. I mean, it's so far into the future.
But it's still a first.
Yeah, it's still a first. And look, you got Tua, T-Law, Stroud. You don't really need Purdy. I like it for you. I like it
a lot. I mean, I'm assuming it's a super flex, which is why you're able to get that for him. Look, he's your 4th quarterback, or I guess, you're not going to start him over those guys. I love this trade for you. I would definitely be happy to do this. All right, let's see. You're still catching up on the super chats. We're not too far behind. I know it's Monday. You guys are almost ready to watch some football. But let's get to the questions that we need answers to. Bronson Mendez, how we feel about Jeff Wilson. So we did talk about this at the very, very beginning. So let's kind of summarize here.
I mean, no, I'm not putting Jeff Wilson over Mostert. I still think Mostert is the lead guy here. Assuming Jeff Wilson is even active. We talked about Ackman, but we didn't talk about Chris Brooks. He's looked pretty good this year too. Look, I'm just convinced this is one of those offenses, and like obviously Christian McCaffrey is one of the best running backs in the NFL. I'm not saying this to mean like Christian McCaffrey would be terrible somewhere else, because obviously we know that's not true. But Miami is just one of these offenses like the 49ers. I'm convinced you put anybody behind in there at running back, they're going to do pretty well. Literally anybody, because we've seen Mostert do great. We've seen Jeff Wilson do great. We've seen Ahmed do great. We've seen Devon Achane do great. Like, just put somebody back there who's halfway capable, and they could probably do great, or at least good enough, right? Maybe not great, but good enough. So look, Chris Brooks has looked pretty good in his brief time that he's gotten to play. Ahmed is healthy. He just hasn't been active because they're like, well, we got Achane. We don't need you. So I'm not just convinced that Jeff Wilson even overtakes Mostert. I'm not even convinced he overtakes like a guy like Ahmed or Chris Brooks. He hasn't played all season. So yeah, I'm not feeling great about Jeff Wilson.
Yeah, here's the thing. Wilson might be one of those guys. I mean, sure, he'll get touches. He'll have some fantasy value. He's one of those guys. Like, okay, for example, how about this? You know who I think it was this week. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but who typically one of the leaders in snap share on offense is in the Dolphins offense, not counting the offensive lineman, of course. It's Durham Smythe, the tight end. Durham Smythe is out there more than those receivers, more than the running backs. Why is he not racking up fantasy points? Because he's blocking. That's why he's out there. He's a blocker. He's an extra offensive lineman. Wilson's a guy who will get snaps and he'll be out there because he's good in pass protection, because he won't fumble the ball, because he can catch, if needed on third down, because he can do those things, because he's familiar with the offense, because he has experience. But it's not because he's the most explosive player, right? Just like there's a reason why Achane is only out there for, 40% of the time and only gets 10 carries, because that's all he does. When he's on the field, he will run those sweeps, he'll run those tosses, and that's it. He's not going to be in there to block. He's not going to be in there, for anything else. So bottom line is Wilson is fine. Sure, you can add him as long as you don't expect him to be, as valuable as most or any of these other guys who are true runners in this offense. All right, let's move on. The Bendu needs exactly 14.26 points to win. Watson or Dobbs?
Well, here I'm going Watson. Like, could Dobbs do it? Sure. But it's not the type. Like, if you needed like 4.26 points, I might say just put Dobbs in and just don't risk it. But 14.26, give me Watson. He's got more upside. Give me Watson.
Yeah, go Watson. More upside. I think you can do it.
Definitely you can do it. Good luck. Good luck.
Python. What's up, Python? Traded Watson for Dallas Goedert Sunday morning, meaning you got to play Dallas Goedert? I hope so. If so, that was definitely a good deal.
But then you also picked up Kmet and you have Pitts. The tight end factory over there.
I mean, you could probably drop Kmet, I guess. I don't know.
I hope your commissioner put that Goddard trade through so you got to start him right away.
Yeah, even so, I don't think you're going to be sad missing Deshaun Watson. All right, Christopher E. again, the Spears question. So he's saying he can only hold 4. And right now it's Pollard, Monty, Madison, McLaughlin. Okay, so yeah, you don't want to drop any of those others. So Spears, McLaughlin.
I mean, I guess you can't drop Pollard, Monty, or Madison. So I guess McLaughlin. But look, here's the question I would ask: what about your wide receivers? Do you have like some wide receiver that's like, I don't know, you have Josh Reynolds, Khalif Raymond because you picked him up this week, somebody like that. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, or if you're a team that you have, Justin Herbert or Lamar Jackson and you have a backup quarterback. You don't need that backup quarterback. You know what I mean? Like maybe there's somebody else you can drop that you don't need. Oops. Agam Aurora. Would you trade right now, knowing that we don't know anything about Achane? Would you trade him to get Pollard?
Man. I mean, like I said, this Cowboys upcoming schedule gets so good. We could finally see Pollard start going off. But Achane's already going off. Now, of course, if it's like, hey, it's a high ankle sprain and an MCL sprain and he's going to miss 6 weeks, you're probably going to wish you just gotten Pollard. But we don't know, right? It could be nothing. We could find out, like, hey, the MRI is negative. He's fine. Like, yeah, he might not play this week, but he should be good next week. And then you're like, I wish I saw that Achane. So, yeah, this is one of those that.
You still consider Pollard a good buy low candidate.
Oh yeah, I put him on the buy low. Oh, absolutely. Because look, you could look at week 5 and say like, oh, but week 5 was just one of those. That's just one of those games you have to just throw it out the window and pretend like it didn't happen, right? I mean, they just got annihilated. Dak threw 3 interceptions, like 3 straight drives. I mean, you just got to throw that game out the window. You can't look at anything from that game. You can't be like, oh, CD only ran this many routes. Pollard only had this many touches. Like, yeah, look at the game. Like, Cooper Rush played like half the fourth quarter. Like, of course. Like, and like I said, the upcoming, I mean, Chargers, Seahawks, Cardinals, Giants, Commanders. Like, that's 5. Pollard could go off in all 5 of those games. Those are all bottom terrible defenses, like, at least against the run, right? So, man, this is really hard because this is one of those where like you could regret it either way. You could really regret this either way.
All right, well, let me give you. I don't know if this will make it easier. Let me give you 3 options. Okay.
All right.
If you knew right now, or you had a strong suspicion, Achane is going to miss, 4 weeks, and then come back, would you do this?
Yeah, give me Pollard. Because I would also be worried, like, okay, that's a serious injury. What is he going to be like when he first comes back? Like that, it could be the type of thing like, especially if it's an ankle, right? It's not, if it's an ankle, because we know these things, especially for running backs, we see it, high ankle sprains. It's not just the games missed. It's that when they come back, they're not as effective for, 2 to 3 more games. So 4 could turn into 6 or 7 before you get actual Achane back. In that case, just give me Pollard.
Yeah, and risk for re-aggravation. All right. What if they say, well, he'll miss this week for sure, and then we'll take it from there. Maybe another week, 2, and depends on how he recovers.
Well, then I'd probably keep Achane because it's like, all right, I can get by for a week or 2 without him.
All right, so that settles option 3. If Achane is fine and no injury, then you're keeping Achane.
I think you have to go Achane at this point.
Yeah,
like,
at this point. All right.
So I guess 2 out of 3 you keep Achane, so just keep Achane, I guess. But
yeah, because we don't know. You can't just take a guess and assume he's going on IR. I mean, that's going, I think, too far. So right now, probably just hold off. And then let's keep with the Cowboys theme here and the trade theme. Eric Luna, CD or Puka.
2 brutal ones in a row.
You'd like to call Melissa Polo Mobile?
No, I would not.
So on the good side for Puka, obviously, was that he had 11 targets, he had 7 catches. He's clearly still going to be involved. If there's a downside for Puka, because I was looking at this today, his first read target share in the 4 games without Cooper Kupp was 36% or 37%. His first read target share this week was 26, and Cooper Kupp's was 40. So even though they had similar targets, Kupp was still the guy Stafford was looking for first, and like at an insanely high rate, right? 40%. That I think Garrett Wilson leads the entire NFL at 44%. So 40% is an insanely high first read percentage for Cooper Kupp, like insanely high.
Yeah.
I do wonder how we'd feel about Puka today if he didn't score that touchdown. And he had, say, 6 catches for whatever he would have had, right? Like, say, 6 catches for 60 yards or whatever it was. But he's still solid. I mean, he's still going to be good. And this is still an offense that's going to throw the ball a ton. And it's obvious, like, Puka's not disappearing with Cooper Kupp. Oh, man. I'm very on the fence on this one. I mean, Puka's been so good. I might just keep Puka, honestly.
Oh, I thought you would go for Lamb. I thought for sure you would.
I mean, it's very, very close. It's very, very close. But look at the Cowboys. Like I said, the Cowboys do have this incredible stretch coming up. They might just light the world on fire for the next. And look, the defense, now they lost Leighton Vander Esch. This defense might start, like we saw last night, they might start giving up a lot of points. And unlike the 49ers, when the Cowboys are playing bad defenses, that means the Cowboys might be scoring a lot of points too, right? So, but with just the Rams just throw the ball so much, just so much.
I think this is a great time, of course, to buy low on CD. This isn't low because you're giving up Puka.
Right.
I would just say if Puka wasn't like one of your top 2 receivers, then I think you can do this. I'll go CD. All right. No more Cowboy talk. Stuart Meacham. This is interesting. Would you trade Chase for Ridley?
Give me Chase by a mile. By a mile.
Yeah, I wouldn't. If you have Chase, I would trade Chase for absolutely nothing.
Yeah. Maybe like CMC.
CMC, or if he's going to give you Ridley and CeeDee Lamb and Puka or something like that. But
right.
All right. Fins up. That's right. This is our year. Not because we beat the Giants, no, but because we're only at 1 loss on the year. Offense is looking good. HN will be totally fine. Totally fine.
I don't even think you guys don't even need HN. Let's be real.
Don't forget, this defense has not been great, but Jalen Ramsey will be back in time for the playoffs. Another guarantee. All right, what about Ashton Aki? Abdullah?
Maybe. They'll probably do something. Will it be worth putting in your lineup? Probably not. I'm guessing you have Aaron Jones out, so you're like desperate.
I mean, we're not going to go Abdullah over AJ Dillon, right? You still have to play AJ Dillon, even though he's been.
Yeah, I'm still going AJ Dillon over Abdullah. Yes, because at least AJ Dillon will get a chance. Abdullah just comes in like when it's 3rd and long. Yeah, like you're just hoping for a couple catches from Abdullah and like that he maybe breaks a tackle and one of the catches is decently long.
Yeah. He hasn't caught more than 2 passes in a game this season.
No.
I mean, his ceiling and his floor are both like 4 fantasy points. So, yeah. AJ Dillon's your first choice, I guess. Abdullah, I would still probably rather play a receiver. Like if Jaden Reed's out there, of course. Dontayvion Wicks, maybe Hunter Renfrow. All right, what about Bobby Brook again?
Oh, it's got to be Charbonnet. Got to be Charbonnet. Like I'm done with Dillon. Dillon, Joshua Kelly. Like right now they could say Austin Eckler out for the season. I'm still not picking up Joshua Kelly. Like the guy had 3 chances. He played 2 bad run defenses. Did not. Yeah. Same with Dillon. He looks terrible. Give me Charbonnet.
Definitely Charbonnet. Definitely. Sam Weatherly. What's a similar dynasty question from before? So I think he means that last week. PPR Superflex. Would you trade Hurts and Devontae for a probable top 3 pick and a mid first round pick and next year 1st and 2nd and Bryce Young?
Oh, jeez. What the heck? Currently 3-7. No way I can win it this year.
I mean, I wouldn't say there's no way you could win just because you're off to a slow start. But if you know your team and you know you're not a contender, is this the time to rebuild? Is that enough? You got 2 first-round picks, another first next year, and Bryce Young.
I mean, I always hate giving up good, like, young players who we know are good. Because you say, like, well, you get a top 3 pick, you're going to get one of the quarterbacks, you get the mid first, maybe you get a wide receiver, but I mean, like, QB's bust, wide receivers bust. You know what I mean?
Well, look, it's super flex. He's saying probably top 3. That's probably, and top 3, not for sure number 1 or 2. So you might not come away with Caleb Williams or Drake May or one of those top quarterbacks, whoever it is.
I think it's a fair offer, like value-wise. It's hard to turn down that many firsts. But you essentially have, like, okay, let's just put Jalen Hurts and Devonta Smith into next year's rookie draft. Jalen Hurts is the 101, no doubt about it. Don't try to tell me that Caleb Williams would get drafted over Jalen Hurts. Like, stop it. And Devonta Smith is at least top 3, if not the 102. Right? At least top 3 or 4. I mean, maybe you could talk me into Caleb Williams and Superflex over Devonta Smith, but who else? Like, are we already putting Marvin Harrison Jr. over Devonta Smith in Superflex? Like, are we already putting Marvin Harrison Jr. over him?
Maybe Marvin Harrison.
What's that?
Yeah, maybe Marvin Harrison.
Okay, maybe. Okay, so he's a 104. So you're giving up the 101 and the 104. But I mean, they're worth more than that still, because we know they're already good players. I don't know. I probably don't do it, even though I think it's a good value. It's just hard for me to give up like good young players who I already know are fantasy studs. Like, I already know these guys are fantasy studs.
Okay, let me ask you this: is this about Bryce Young? If Bryce Young was swapped out with Anthony Richardson or CJ Stroud, even,
well, yeah, then I probably do it because I feel better about them. But like Bryce Young, I still like Bryce Young long term, but he also is stuck in Carolina with Frank Reich right now.
Right.
So, I mean, look, I think it's fair. I think it's more than fair. It's probably an overpay, to be honest. But like, I know what I'm getting with Hurts and Devonta, and I know they're young, and I know they're going to be very good for very many years. Like, I know this. I don't have to worry about it. Like, Marvin Harrison Jr. would be the first can't miss the bust. Caleb Williams would be the first can't miss the bust. It happens. Not saying they're going to. I don't think they're going to, but it happens. Like, we already know these guys aren't busts. We know it. So I'm probably just keeping them, even though I do think it's a very fair offer.
Or to get injured, right, or something like that. You don't know what's going to happen between now and the end of the season. Yeah, it is a fair offer. It is a very good offer. It's a very intriguing offer. It really comes down to, do you think Bryce Young replaces Jalen Hurts value-wise long term? If you think Bryce Young is going to be a number 1 quarterback, then you should take it, and it's a good offer. I think it's fair. I think, look, I don't know the rest of your team, but if you're ready to rebuild, then this gives you more value, more things to play around with. It just comes down to whether you like Bryce Young. If it was CJ Stroud, I would say yes, do it. And I'm not just saying that now. Now everyone's all over CJ Stroud. You know this. I said throughout the whole offseason, I like CJ Stroud as the number 1 quarterback in this class. I had him number 1, then Bryce Young, then Anthony Richardson. So that's my vague answer. Sugar Trey lost Jettis and Amon-Ra, probably out a few more weeks. We'll see. Got Ayuk, Wilson, Cooper, London on the bench. Tradable RBs or Kyron Stevenson. Who would I trade for? Thielen or Addison?
Well, I do admire that you think Stevenson is still a tradable running back. And maybe he is. Maybe you have like a huge Patriots fan in your league or something, but I don't think he's tradable, to be honest. But look, you still have Ayuk. You have Cooper coming off bye. London has been okay. Garrett Wilson, I think, can get you by. I wouldn't be trading for these guys just because of Jefferson and Amon-Ra. We don't know. Amon-Ra could play this week. We don't know. Jefferson probably not playing this week, but he could be back week 7. We don't know. Like, I wouldn't do anything drastic here. I wouldn't do anything drastic here just because of those guys.
Yeah. Patience sometimes paid off. Like, Kyron is tradable, and Kyron is a good, tradable asset. Somebody you might want to sell now, but I don't think that's enough. So,
yeah.
What about Christian Gonzalez? 1 and 4. So he said Tank, Achan, JJ.
Questionable.
Okay, questionable. I see that. Start Wilson and Tony.
I mean, I'd prefer not to. Anybody in your waiver wire you can grab? Rashee Rice still out there.
Josh Pickens is on a bye next week, so he has to replace him, and those guys are all possibly.
Is Spears on waiver wire? Is McLaughlin on waiver wire? Is Rashee Rice on waiver wire, Josh Downs, any of these guys on waiver wire that you could pick up.
Yeah, I mean, Tony does get the Broncos, but, so dependent on kind of a touchdown, big play. He's just been kind of okay. Cardinals, who the Cardinals get next week? The Rams. Yeah, maybe Wilson, but yeah. I mean, I guess if I had to pick, I would go Wilson, but Miguel Cordovas, would you trade Gary Wilson for Burrow since he lost AR?
Getting some tough trade questions tonight. Normally, I would say no, but I mean, like, what is the hope for Garrett Wilson now? The only real hope for Garrett Wilson at this point is that somehow they do trade for Kirk Cousins, right?
Okay.
That's it. That is it, because you just played the worst DVOA defense we've seen in decades and did nothing. And Zach Wilson, for as good as Zach Wilson looked against the Chiefs, he looked equally bad. I mean, he wasn't terrible. It wasn't like he was throwing pick sixes, but I mean, he did nothing against his defense, right? He did nothing. It's not going to get better. There's not like a matchup you're going to feel better about than the Broncos. I mean, I know he got Surtain, but still, like, Garrett Wilson plays a decent amount of snap. I don't think Surtain covered him on every route. I don't have the data, so I could, but I don't think he did.
Why not, right?
Yeah, why not? Why not? Why not?
Yeah. Joe wants to know, would you do Ridley and Mondre for Keenan Allen?
I mean, yeah, I prefer Keenan. So if somebody's willing to take Ridley and Ramondre and give me Keenan, sure, I'll do it.
Yeah, I think it's fine. Fernando Infante. Okay, we did talk about this at the very beginning, first few minutes of the show. Drop Richardson.
I mean, you got Lawrence, but man, I would hate to just give somebody Anthony Richardson. But I mean, you have Lawrence. You don't really want to hold two QBs, so I guess.
Ideally, you'd have an IR spot where you could just stash him, but doesn't seem like you do.
Yeah, you're not gonna be able to trade Anthony Richardson right now because people know he's missing some time.
Well, also, if there is no IR in this league, if he's dropping Anthony Richardson, probably nobody's picking him up anyways.
Right. Exactly. If there's no IR, people probably aren't picking him up.
Yeah. So if you have to drop him, you can drop him. Okay, he says needs a wide receiver. Who could you get if you're trading Flowers? I guess Jameson Williams and or Johnson. I'm trying to think Johnson.
Well, Deontay? I mean, I think Jameson has a little bit of value right now because people are still believing him. I don't think I'm assuming is that Quentin Johnston? Is that who he means?
I was thinking Deontay, maybe Deontay Johnson.
Oh, maybe. Well, he doesn't have any value right now because he's hurt, and the Steelers are on bye, and they're awful.
Yeah. I don't know who else it would be.
I mean, Flowers still has some value. Man, Flowers should have boomed last week. But I mean, if you need a wide receiver, why would you be trading these guys? Need a wide receiver. Who can I get trading Flowers?
To upgrade, maybe.
I guess.
I mean, I don't mind trading Jameson Williams, but what are you going to get? Probably not a lot right now, I don't think.
I don't think you're going to get a better wide receiver.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure who you could get, like who's maybe a clear buy low that you could get for Jameson Williams. I don't know. I'd have to really think about that. Okay, let's go to rough times though. Help. 3-1. Lost Aaron Jones, down by 17. Musgrave's in the lineup. Okay, so here I laugh, but look, this is where we're at. Renfro, Abdullah, Wicks, Taylor, would need to drop either Deontay or Algier. Would you just take the L, or would you make a move?
I would drop Algier and pick up like Wicks. Like you can always, no one's going to pick up Algier. No one's going to pick up Algier this week. He's doing nothing. So you can always drop Wicks and re-pick up Algier on waivers this week if you want. I would drop him. Like you've got a chance. You're down 17. You got Musgrave. I wouldn't just completely give up.
Yeah, since you need some upside here, I wouldn't go Amir Abdullah. I wouldn't go Renfro. He's getting you nothing. Yeah, I would do that. Drop Algier, pick up Wicks. Yeah. Who's running out to pick up Algier right now? Probably nobody.
Nobody. I mean, the only person would be the person who has Bijan, and that's you.
Professor Black Vaccine. Aaron Jones out. Start Dylan or one of the other guys.
I mean, I don't love it, but you got to go Dylan. You got to go Dylan over those guys.
It's got to be Dylan. I mean, I don't see any of the guys behind him out touching him. Look, it definitely is possible. It is possible. AJ Dillon runs, 10, 12 times, gets you 20-something yards, does nothing. It's possible. Emmanuel Wilson comes in and rips off a 30-yard touchdown run. Sure, maybe it happens. Are you going to go with that? I mean, if you want to, that's your call. I'm not going to tell you to do that, or that Patrick Taylor is going to get the goal line work. I don't know. I would just have to – the process that is correct is to play the starter who will get touches, and that's AJ Dillon. Steven drafted Pickens, picked up Deontay Johnson on waivers. Okay, so is this a good time to trade Pickens?
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, yeah, if you can sell high on Pickens, sure. Like I always say, I'm okay keeping both. I mean, there's a good chance Deontay's back after the bye, right? So that'll give him 5 full weeks from the hamstring. He should be good to go. I don't think Pickens has suddenly become like the number one guy here. So,
I mean, I don't see Deontay having trade value since he hasn't played for a month. So you could try to trade him, but I wouldn't expect much.
No.
I think, Pickens coming off a big highlight play, people have interest now. People are going to want to, buy into him. I like Pickens, though, long term, so I don't want to trade Pickens unless I'm getting something really good in return. So it's okay to keep both. Joe Castle's back in the house. Barkley in Hollywood for Jefferson, but he's saying he has Jefferson. So someone's trying to get Jettis for Barkley in Hollywood.
I think it's a fair offer, but I'm still keeping Jefferson. It doesn't sound like it's overly serious. And look, we saw Cooper Kupp first game back from the hamstring. Same old Cooper Kupp, right? 117 yards. I'm not worried about Jefferson, like this affecting him long term. I'm keeping Jefferson.
I'm keeping Jefferson. Yeah, I don't think this is quite enough for me. Jefferson's not going to be, I doubt, put on IR or anything like that. So
no,
don't panic. Trade. I mean, I know he's offering you the deal. Hold tight. AGZ, you think Kyler is fantasy relevant this year?
I mean, define fantasy. Like, I don't think we're going to see like the old Kyler. But if you're like with that one question we had where it's like Desmond Ridder is your best option, I think he could be better than Desmond Ridder this year. So
my short answer here is not really. I think it's a while before we see Kyler Murray on the field, and when he's back, I don't think he's Kyler Murray of old. So no, I'm not holding out hope in a redraft league. I'm not holding him. Period. Ali, what is up? Here are the drop options. Thankfully, I think you already dropped Alvin Cook. Long overdue. So Edwards, Sharp, Dotson. Gotcha, full IR. That looks a lot better now, doesn't it? But still, drop Edwards. Oh, drop another one. Okay, who are we dropping? You could drop Hunter Henry.
Yeah, you can drop Hunter Henry. And man, somebody dropped Darren Waller. Just go pick up Darren Waller. I mean, As far as the other one, Edwards, Charbonnet, Dotson, Jeff Wilson. Are you saying you're going to drop Edwards to activate Wilson? We don't know if Wilson's going to be active yet. They haven't officially activated him yet. So I would wait. Like, there's no reason to activate somebody if they're not active yet. So I would still wait. Because we don't even know, like, is he healthy? Like, did they just not activate him because they're like, we don't need him? Or is he still not healthy? We don't know yet. So I'm really hurt.
Yeah.
Do you?
I don't know, but McDaniel said specifically when they asked about Wilson, they're like, "Oh, we're not ready yet." I mean, sounds like he's not ready. So, I don't think you'd drop anybody else yet, but you can drop Henry for a different tight end. Might as well be Waller, right?
Yes, definitely.
Stuart Meacham with another trying to get something for Moss. Okay, that's smart. Package Moss with Collins or Dell. What do you think you could get?
I mean, you could probably get like a wide receiver. I mean, I don't know. Because you never know how people are feeling. Like, are they feeling like, oh, Zach Moss, like JT's going to be nothing? Or are they like, okay, yeah, that's because JT didn't play in 9 months. And eventually Zach Moss is going to be nothing. That's what it's going to come down to. Obviously, if you package him with Collins, that helps. But I mean, why would you? Like, I'd rather just keep Collins. Unless you're like, because I don't think Moss is enough to swing. Like, if it's like, hey, I'll give you Moss and Collins, give me your stud wide receiver, your stud running back, that's not enough to swing it. You know what I mean? Probably. So, and Dell in concussion. I mean, maybe Dell probably still has some value, though, because he's a rookie and he had a couple nice games there.
I mean, at risk of possibly insulting the other owner, you could say, hey, would you want these two for T. Higgins? You know, because he hasn't played and whatever. Maybe Devontae Smith. I don't know.
Maybe.
I wouldn't do that. But
go to whoever has Jonathan Taylor in your league and say, hey, man, I'll give you Zach Moss. You can roll with him until JT's all the way back. See what he'll give you.
There you go. All right. Bobby Brook now wants rating on the 14-team PPR for the rest of the season. So this is the team that has Watson and Love, Bijan, Aaron Jones, Swift, Rashad White, and Dillon, Keenan, Watson, Hollywood, London, Pickens at tight end, Logan Thomas, and Cole Kmet. Dolphins at D, and then it's an IDP league. Very nice.
This is a pretty strong team for 14. I mean, Bijan. Hopefully Aaron Jones gets back at some point. But you got Swift. You got Rashad White. He's, especially in a 14-teamer, he's serviceable. Keenan, Watson, Hollywood, London, and Pickens. Between Logan and Kmet, I mean, you should be okay at tight end, I guess. I assume you're streaming defense and you're not just playing the Dolphins every week. I don't really know IDP too much, but I know those are good players. So this looks like a really strong team in a 14-teamer.
Yeah, I mean, for being a deeper league, you're really good at running back because you got Bijan, Swift. Jones is your third running back, which is much better than being your second. White, you don't really even need to start. Allen, Watson, I mean, I think you're pretty good. You're just going to have to mix and match each week and decide who you like between Hollywood, Pickens, maybe London. But yeah, I think you're strong. Honestly, the only part you're not strong at is tight end, but so what? Who is, right? Who is? I think you're pretty good. This is like a solid 8 out of 10, I'd say. All right, and then no dramatic intro. It's Shrek 2 on DVD. Current backs for Dynasty: Ramondre, Jacobs, I guess Rashawn Johnson, Akers, Mitchell, Gainwell, Spears, Sharp. What to do with Mondre in Dynasty?
I mean, Ramondre was a guy I was actually trying to trade away in Dynasty this offseason because I did have worries about him I liked him this season, which obviously that's looking bad. But I had worries about him long term because I'm pretty sure maybe he's got one more year on his deal, but you just can never feel good about Patriots running backs year to year. Like, right, Bill Belichick does not care. He'll discard you at a moment's notice. So he was definitely a guy I was trying to trade away in Dynasty, but now his value's taking a big hit. And remember, Ramondre's, even though he doesn't have a lot of wear and tear, he's fairly old for a running back that feels like he's barely been in the league because he came in the league late, right? So
yeah.
I
mean, he
mean,
doesn't have like a long future ahead of him of being a fantasy asset.
Right. Like I just didn't see it. So I was trying to, I wasn't able to. I kept trying. But sometimes you're not able to make the move. But yeah, I mean, like you could put him on the trade block, but like, are you going to take a third for him? Probably not. Is somebody going to give you a second for him? Probably not.
Probably not right now. I think you almost just have to hold and hope things get better because you selling low is possible at this point.
Right.
If you can get a second, sure, get a second. I think that's fine. You're obviously not getting a first for him. So if you can negotiate, maybe it has to be a 25 second. I still think that's okay if you're not attached to holding on to him, which you clearly aren't. And then I love the confirmation here. See, Sir Boomer agrees. If somebody offered him Moss and Collins for Devontae Smith, he might do it because he's down bad.
Wow, please don't.
But this is why I say throw it out there. Take a look, right? Look at who you're trading with. Are you trading a guy near the top of the standings or the bottom of the standings? The guy at the top of the standings, he doesn't need Zach Moss, right? He doesn't need Nico Collins. He's going to look at you and say, why would I do this? So look for the teams. This is what I always do. I know you do this too. When you're starting to initiate trade offers, no matter who you're trying to trade away or trade for, start at the bottom of the standings and work your way up. Look for the guy who's in last place and what do you think he needs, and try to offer him that in exchange for whatever you might possibly like on his roster. If that doesn't work, work your way up. That's always how I start. You trade with the teams in the bottom of the standings. All right. Stop what you're doing because Young Money is in the house. What's up, Young Money? Waddle and Brian Robinson or Bijan?
I got to go Bijan here. Plus, you got Hill, DJ Moore, Ridley, Addison, Collins. Your other running backs are Swift and Warren. So your running backs are Brian Robinson, Swift, and Warren. Yeah, give me Bijan for sure.
This is not only a win by getting Bijan. It's close. It's fair, right? It is fair because Waddle's still a stud receiver. Brian Robinson, you should be able to roll out most weeks and feel good, except when he plays the Bears, apparently. But yeah, you upgraded your team because you're still really good at receiver, and now you have two legit studs at running back. So easily taking Bijan and making your good team even better. All right, so Dill, start 2, Reed, Musgrave, Watson.
Well, we're a little late. The game's already started, but if for some reason you can still make a change, I'm going Reed and Watson.
Yeah, getting the super chat in at 7:15 exactly. If you needed them for tonight, you probably want to plan ahead a little bit more, but Watson for sure. Reed's the number 2 pick.
Yeah.
All right, and is the game officially underway?
It is. A.J. Dillon, 3 carries for 11 yards. Not bad.
Already off to his best game of the season. Look at this. See, this is okay. Now, again, every league is different, but I'm saying, like, hey, try to trade those guys. You can get T. Higgins. Keith, 7. Not our Keith. Somebody dropped T. Higgins.
Wow.
Because, Chris, he gave you nothing in week 5. He gave you 0 points. Like, why would you want
man?
him?
Okay. I'm hoping we get some crazy drops in my home league this week.
Yeah. And that's the problem.
I know it won't happen in any of the endgame leagues, so I gotta bank on the home league for the crazy drops.
I know that's the problem. We talk about these trade offers and all these waiver wire pickups. You should pick up this guy and that guy, and then we can't do any of these things that we tell you to do because in our leagues those players just aren't out there. It's just, but you know what? I guess that's a good problem to have. All right, and then we got one last super chat because, the game is starting. We know y'all want to watch, and of course, start sit for this week is too late. We'll be back tomorrow to help you with next week. Rafael Cabrera would be getting James Cook and Garrett Wilson enough to give up Kelsey. He's
Not
1-4.
I mean, I know Logan Thomas had a nice game in week 5, but he's probably going to go out there this week and do nothing. Like, he's still Logan Thomas. Kelsey apparently avoided serious injury because he came back in the game, caught passes, scored a touchdown, jumped after he scored. I think Kelsey's going to be okay. I do really like James Cook, but this is not enough for Kelsey. Not enough for Kelsey. You're 1-4, but I doubt it's because of Travis Kelsey.
Yeah, it's Garrett Wilson is the thing here. It's not a guy that you can just put in your lineup every week and feel good about. You know, he should be, but he isn't because of the Jets. So if you can get somebody different at wide receiver, who's better, I mean, I'm trying to think what would realistically be good enough for Kelsey, Cook, and I mean, I don't know if you're going to get this. Like even like Zay Flowers, that's not enough for me. I think it would have to be somebody even better. T. Higgins, if you can get T. Higgins.
Well, but you're 1-4. You can't run the risk of T. Higgins not playing this week, so because now you're really in trouble.
Yeah. I'm trying to think, who could you actually get that would be worth getting?
Yeah, it'd have to be a wide receiver I feel really good about starting every week.
Maybe because he scored a touchdown, but yardage-wise did nothing. I mean, Chris Olave, he might be a good buy low target.
Yeah, he's on the buy low video for sure. For sure.
Yeah, if you could get something like that, just it has to be better than Garrett Wilson.
Yeah.
All right. We are done. Appreciate you, of course. We'll see you in the Discord, Money. And we'll see all you guys tomorrow. We're going to answer more questions and comments. Don't forget, check out the videos that are already up. We got your waiver wire, got your buy low, got your panic, and then start sit is going to be coming out all throughout the week, plus boom. So don't forget to check those out. And then on the live shows, always check back in for the live shows because that's when I give you the most up-to-date advice. So appreciate y'all, and we'll see you next time.